Well, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Japanaholic Podcast, the one-man podcast with one massive love for Japan. And in today's episode, another Saturday special, which I will probably continue doing for the month of March, and then probably somewhat in April, and then I'll stop it after that, maybe. Depends on what, depends on, depends on a few things, but hopefully my microphone sounds good. It's more up close to my face, unlike the last episode, I guess. And I am still sick. Sorry. But in today's little special Saturday episode, today I am going to be discussing let me turn on my microphone just a second. Sorry. There we go. I am going to be discussing the We Never Learn manga ending kind of direction. I'm not going to talk about the series itself yet. I will probably wait a few months to actually discuss it later, more in depth, more like, what actually happens in the story, what I like about the story, blah, 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 blah. But the We Never Learn series is mainly an example of what I want to kind of talk about in today's episode. And that is basically, if you see the thumbnail of the YouTube video, or if you kind of see the title, it's not the correct way to end a harem or harem manga. How do you people say this? Is it harem or is it harem? I call it harem, but at the same time I also call it harem. It's like a flip-flop. It's kind of like what I asked if you guys usually call Japanese names in Japanese if you're talking in English, okay? Like what I asked that about Eurocamp several weeks ago when I was actually discussing Eurocamp. But for anybody who's not familiar with this We Never Learn series, it started to be published in the weekly Shonen Jump magazine back in February 2017, and it is written and illustrated by Tashi Suzui, and it got an anime adaptation. It got 2 seasons, which I think the second season was fall or winter of last year. I can't remember. I think it was winter. It had to have been winter of last year. No, excuse me. It was fall of last year, because the first season was actually in the winter of last year, and the second season was in fall of that same year. And I will save my opinions on those 2 seasons when I actually talk about the We Never Learn anime series sometime in the very, very near future. Maybe not very, very near, but near. And, I'm not going to really go too much into the story because of the fact that I kind of want to not spoil it to some extent. However, there is just one thing I just do not agree with when it comes to this ending. If anybody does not know, like, the exact ending of the manga, if they have no idea what's going on in the manga, Suzui, the mangaka, has decided to not end it with one girl winning, but making it to where it's like it splits off every so often, and it's a route-based ending, I guess is what I'll say, because there was a picture at the end of a chapter, one of the newer chapters, with Ogata, I think it was. It had to have been Ogata. And it said route 1/5. So, there'll be 5 routes, one for each of the girls. Okay, each route will take up 1, maybe 2 volumes, I think. But in my personal opinion, I don't see this as the right way to end a harem manga. Potato. Now, for those who are probably angry that I kind of come up with this decision, and you would probably all you're not a writer, you're not a mangaka, you can't say stuff like this. It's like, okay, to get to know me a little bit, I actually kind of started to create a light novel several months ago. I was about a couple chapters away from finishing the first volume, but many things happened, and the the major thing is that I feel like right now is not the right time to publish the light novel. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I do have a little bit of the writer's mentality. And, the series that I was making was, in fact, going to turn into a harem manga. Or a harem light novel that would have gotten a manga series. But I was not, I don't have the time nor the patience to really continue writing, especially right now when I'm so busy doing other things. Probably in the very, very, very far distant future, probably I'll start, rewriting that series and getting it off the ground. But to put it bluntly, I do have a little bit of, that writer's thing in me where it's just like, I don't agree with what Suzui did with how his approach is when it comes to ending this manga. Okay. Me personally, I see a few different ways you could end this kind of thing. Okay. The obvious one is that if you're going to create a harem manga, you cannot think of it as everybody will be pleased with the ending. Okay? It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter the series. Okay? Like the quintessential quintuplets, the biggest example of this is not everybody will be pleased with the ending of the manga. Nobody was, because not everybody was I hate to spoil this, Yotsuba fan, okay? Everybody, more likely they were either a Itsugi, a Ichika, a Nino, or a Miku fan, okay? And more likely they're all like, they weren't happy with that ending. Me personally, was I a fan of the ending? I mean, yeah, I'm mostly a Miku stan, but at the same time, Yotsuba was my second favorite, so I was also happy about that. But the way that the quintessential quintuplets ended was Futaro got with one girl, and that was that. Sorry, I'm moving my microphone real quick. It was starting to invade my personal space a little bit more than I wanted it to. All right, sorry about that. Anyway, but with the We Never Learn series, what it's doing is it's making it seem like Suzui's trying to, branch off into like visual novel style routes, which is kind of something I also don't agree with, is the fact that you really can't do a harem manga and end it in a visual novel stylish way where, it's like a choose your own route kind of adventure. Now, maybe in the near future I could kind of see something like, visual novel mangas kind of becoming a thing, quote unquote visual novel mangas. You can't see my air quotes that I did there, sorry. But what I mean by that is like, you can kind of choose your own style of how you want the manga to go. It's like, I don't know how to, I could kind of go over it later, but I could kind of see it going that way in like many years once mangakas get more and more, creative. So there's that. Drink some water real quick. I'm one sick boy and I hate it. Anyway. But me personally, I don't like the whole like visual novel-ish routes. Now, you can do that, but I would recommend doing this if you're deciding to do a split route kind of ending, which, that's what he's doing, but he's doing it in the main series. Okay, what I would do as a writer is split it off into like spin-off volumes. Okay, like have it to where the main We Never Learn manga, the one that has more than 15 volumes, have it to where that one ends with maybe like he doesn't get with anybody. He just decides to focus on his studying and focuses on his future. Would that be the ending that everybody wants? No, but then you also have it to where you have 5 spin-offs. Okay? One with, Furuhashi, one with Ogata, and one with Takimoto, and, the others. Have 5 spin-offs of each of the routes. okay? And, those can take up maybe like 2 volumes, 2, 3, no more than 4, okay? Just so it's like, okay, is it more work for the mangaka? Obviously, because you're making at least 10 more volumes, and, they're all spin-offs, and not everybody's going to read those if they're not a fan of the girl in the spin-offs. Like, for example, if you're not a fan of Ogata, you're probably not going to buy the 2 volumes of the Ogata spin-off. But personally, I'd buy all of them because I loved all the girls and We Never Learn. But continuing on, you really don't want to have these split routes in your main series, because then it kind of to me, it would kind of confuse everybody, I think. Because it's like, what volumes are the Ogata volumes, so I can skip those volumes and go to the Furuhashi and the Takimoto ones. It's like, that's why I would split. That's why I would like split it into spin-offs. You can obviously tell the difference if it's in the manga's cover art, but at the same time, it depends on what Susui does with cover arts. And personally, I have a couple of the volumes, personally, but, I haven't really read the manga, that much, okay? I'm still a couple chapters behind, but at the same time, actually, no, not a couple chapters, what was I saying? A couple volumes behind. I'll catch up eventually to where the routes will start splitting off, but personally, I would honestly go for spin-offs, and that's how I would mainly end the series, quote unquote. Or you can, have it to where he doesn't get with anybody in general and just screw it, but then nobody would like that, because it's like, you're making a harem series and he doesn't get with any girl at the end. That's not correct. This is not right. That's not how you end a freaking harem series either. It's tough. Okay, the toughest genre of mangas to create is romance and harems, because, well, if it's romance, as long as there's only one girl, it won't be an issue. But, for series like Nisekoi, like Toradora, Domestic Nakana Show, just to name a few off the top of my head, all good shows, but they all kind of have like the same issue, to where it's like, you really want to see the main male protagonist get with the main female protagonist, but there's also that where it's like, there's also those group of people who are like, I don't know, I don't want to see that. I want to see the main male protagonist get with one of the more supporting characters that I like more than the main girl protagonist. If you get what I'm saying. And with harems, it's amplified by 1,000. Okay, I think my voice just cracked right there. If you heard that, I hope to God it didn't. Sorry, but when you're creating a harem anime series, the difficulty of that said series is spiked by like 5 times, 8 times even, depending on the amount of girls involved. Like, with the quintessential quintuplets, that had to have been the most difficult thing for, I think it was I think the mangaka was Yuki. I may be mistaken. But anyway, that had to have been incredibly difficult, because it's like, you had to end it with one girl being victorious, where the vast majority of the fans possibly didn't like her, or possibly didn't see her as the winner, quote unquote. Okay? And when you're creating a harem series, everything is difficult, because you will never be able to please everybody who reads it, because of the fact that it's like, if you get it with this girl, then obviously a bunch of people will love the ending of that series. Everybody will love the ending like that. But at the same time, there's also people who it's like, oh, it should have been this girl. It should have been this one. I don't like it because it should have been this girl. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe, how about, you just can't win. And the only way you really can is if you give every girl, a specific other to deal with. But at the same time, then it's like, she shouldn't go with this guy. He should have gone with the main male protagonist. It's like, you can't win. And that's the thing. It's like, when you're creating a romance or a harem, you have to expect that your audience will 8 out of 10 will like it, but the 2 out of 10 will not like it. And you can never please the 2 out of 10, but at least try to please the 8 out of 10. Because if you try to please the 2 out of 10, you're not really creating you're not really doing the right thing. This is all coming from, like I said, a perspective of somebody who was trying to make a light novel series based on romance, but didn't work out because money, time, personal stuff. I don't want to go into that just quite yet. But I use the We Never Learn manga series to give an example of, you really don't want to go into the route endings, okay? Unless you create spin-offs of these said routes, okay? And if you create these said spin-offs of the routes, it makes it more work, and it's easier said than done for mangakas, okay? Because I can sit here and I can say, oh yeah, just do all the spin-offs and blah blah blah, but at the same time, it's like, it may be a little too difficult for that to happen. So maybe that's why Suzui's all like, I can just do it with the main series, because of the fact that, well, it's already gotten serialized, it's already gotten a spot in the Weekly Shonen Jump magazine ever since 2017, so it's been going on for over 3 years now. But still, if there is a possibility that it could happen, then, you would want to create spinoffs. You would want to do something to where you can have it to where you could please every single one of the girls' fans, I guess, like Ogata, Furuhashi, Takimoto, etc., etc. Okay? But you don't want to, in my opinion, you don't want to make it to where it's in the main series, because how are you going to end it? How are you going to end the main series through each of the spin-offs? It's like, that's another thing. You're probably going to have to go for a sixth one to make it like a quote-unquote general ending. But that's just, I don't know. We'll see where Suzui brings this series and stuff like that. Personally, my favorite girl is Furuhashi, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows. It's probably one of the top 2 best girls. Personally, for me, my top 3 is, from bottom to top, is Ogata, Takimoto, and then Furuhashi. But, in a harem series, I don't care who wins, as long as I really enjoy the character that wins. And, it's tough for me to hate, a specific character, except for Nino and the... except for Nino. I don't like her. Thank God she didn't win. Hate to spoil that, but yeah. But I was trying to think. I had a couple other points that I wanted to get across, but I can't remember. I don't really know how to put into words. But I said earlier that other than the spin-offs, you could also just make it to where, you can make it to where each of the girls has another like specific other, but you kind of have to build you have to build those characters, build the separate main male characters from that, and it's not easy. Okay, if you're trying to build like 6 or 7, up to 10 characters already, making like another like 5 or 6 is really not easy if you're really inexperience with creating mangas. Excuse me. Now, do I hate the series, the We Never Learn series? No. Probably up there one of my top 15. Okay, I enjoyed watching the show and I enjoyed reading some of the manga, but with the ending, or with the planned ending is, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like it was really a good idea to go with, the route choices, I guess, quote unquote. And I say quote unquote because it's like, you can't, like I said before, you can go on the route choices, but you really don't want to do it in the main series. And there are a few mangas that I've seen that have had like route kind of endings, I guess. But for the majority of those, they had like spin-offs. So, and it's not like, it's not like I'm saying I hate the ending. It's just I necessarily don't agree with how it is going in general. Like, I really don't. I don't agree with it, but there's not much else I can say other than it's like, you can't please. Like I said, you can't please everybody. So your best bet is to just please with who you got. Okay, go with. If you're a mangaka making a harem series, you got to go what's in your heart. Figure out, okay, if this girl is getting a lot of attention, I'll think about it. But at the same time, if you personally like a girl and you've had an ending going on for quite some time that you would love to see happen, if it's not the popular decision, it's you're the mangaka, you're the story writer, you make the decisions. Us fans, we don't have a voice. Okay? We're just opinions, so, go with your decision, okay? If you don't think the ending's going to be good, then don't go with that ending. And I'm not going to say what Suzui is doing, he should completely rewrite it. I don't care. It's his work. He just has to do what he wants to do. But for me personally, I would have gone with spin-offs of each of the routes. But that's me, okay? I'm very inexperienced with writing harems. A little bit of romance, but no more than a volume. Okay? Actually, not even a volume, but you get what I'm trying to say if you've been listening for, this somewhat 25-minute podcast episode of me just saying the same things. Sorry, but yeah. I really enjoy the series, and I really want to see where this goes, because maybe this will work out better than what I'm anticipating. So there's that. But I think I'm gonna leave it here. If you want to discuss more about it, if you want me to discuss more about it, I'll probably discuss more about it, when I actually discuss the series more in general. So there's that. But if you did enjoy this podcast episode, please leave a like, favorite, follow the playlist, not the playlist, Jesus. Follow the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast, Podbean, wherever you listen to your podcast on. If you're listening to this on YouTube, click that like, comment, subscribe, do all that sort of good jazz. And thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of the Japanaholic Podcast. Another Saturday episode will come out next. This one will come out next Saturday on Spotify, and then after that there'll be another Saturday episode where I think I'll be interviewing one of my old childhood friends named Alex, I believe. It depends on what my editing schedule is like, which is all over the place. So we'll see what happens. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Good night, everybody.